Why dismissive avoidant? Ghost you after deep connection. It's one of the most confusing and painful experiences in modern relationships. You finally connect with someone on a deep level. You open up. They seem to open up too. For a moment, everything feels safe, intimate, maybe even magical. Then suddenly, silence. They're gone. No explanation, no closure, just ghosted. And it hits harder because this wasn't just a casual fling. It felt like something real. If this has happened to you, chances are you were dealing with someone with a dismissive, avoidant attachment style. And to understand why they disappear after connection, you need to look beneath the surface, deep into the world of emotional wiring, fear of vulnerability, and unconscious defense mechanisms. This isn't just about them losing interest. It's about what connection represents to a dismissive avoidant, and why, paradoxically, the moment they feel close is often the moment they feel the most danger. Dismissive avoidants typically grow up in environments where emotional needs weren't honored or met. Maybe they had caregivers who were distant, unavailable, or even shaming around expressions of vulnerability. Over time, the child learns that relying on others is unsafe. They learn that to survive emotionally, they must depend only on themselves. They build walls not just out of pride, but out of protection. By the time they're adults, these patterns are deeply embedded. To the outside world, they often appear confident, independent, and unfazed by emotional drama. But under the surface, connection triggers something primal: fear. Not because they don't want love, but because they've trained themselves to survive without it. And the deeper the connection, the more vulnerable they feel, something their nervous system has learned to treat like a threat. So when you get close, when you actually begin to see them, understand them, or evoke emotional tenderness in them, they enter internal crisis mode. Their fight-or-flight system activates, even if there's no real danger. You might be showing them affection or even gently asking for more closeness, but to them, it can feel like suffocation. Their autonomy feels at risk. They interpret emotional intimacy as a potential trap, one where they will lose control, be judged, or worse, be needed in a way they don't feel equipped to handle. Rather than navigating this discomfort through communication, they do what feels safest. They pull away. They vanish. Ghosting becomes a protective strategy. Not a mature or healthy one, but one that's been reinforced over years of believing that disappearing is safer than engaging. Here's what makes it so confusing for their partners. Dismissive avoidants often give just enough affection and connection to keep hope alive. They can have intense moments of vulnerability, but those are usually short-lived. They might share something personal, express a longing, or even talk about their own feelings of emptiness or past pain. And when they do, you naturally assume this means they're opening up, that you've broken through their walls. But what you may not realize is that these moments are terrifying for them afterward. Emotional exposure can lead to shame. They may regret opening up or feel foolish for letting their guard down. Instead of returning to the connection and working through it, they retreat to their safe zone, distance and silence. And ghosting, though painful for you, feels like relief to them. There's another layer to this that's rarely talked about. Many dismissive avoidants don't ghost because they hate you. In fact, sometimes they ghost because they like you too much. The stronger the feelings, the greater the risk. The more they admire your emotional depth, the more inadequate they may feel. If they're not ready to handle intimacy, your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting all the parts of themselves they've avoided. Your closeness asks questions they're not prepared to answer. Can I trust this? Do I deserve this? What if I let this person in and they hurt me? Or worse, what if I hurt them? These unspoken fears cause them to run before you even realize they're struggling. They exit without a word, because explaining any of this would require the very vulnerability they're trying to escape. And that brings us to an important truth. Ghosting isn't about you. It feels personal. It wounds your self-esteem. But it's rarely a reflection of your worth. Instead, it's a reflection of their emotional limits. You might be emotionally available, healthy, and ready to build something real. But if they aren't, they'll sabotage the connection. Not because it's wrong, but because it's too right. That rightness becomes terrifying when someone's default wiring is built around emotional self-containment. It feels like drowning in something they secretly crave but don't know how to swim in. And so, instead of asking for space or communicating fears or seeking help, they vanish. It's not logical, and it's not kind, but it is patterned, predictable, and repeatable unless they choose to do inner work. This is why chasing them, asking for closure, or trying to prove your worth often backfires. It only reinforces the pressure they already feel. It may even confirm their fear that intimacy always leads to emotional demands. The best thing you can do if you've been ghosted by a dismissive avoidant after deep connection is to resist the urge to internalize the pain. Instead, reframe it. Their exit is not a statement about your value. It's a reflection of their unhealed wounds. And ironically, your willingness to respect their silence and walk away with dignity may be the most powerful message you send. Not as a manipulation, but as a declaration. I deserve someone who doesn't flee from connection. I deserve to be met, not avoided. Now, if you are the dismissive avoidant, know this. The instinct to run is real, but it doesn't have to rule you. You don't have to keep ghosting people who care. You can learn to pause, to reflect, to communicate, even in discomfort. It's not about becoming someone who's suddenly emotionally dependent. It's about becoming someone who no longer fears connection as a loss of self. Because at the end of the day, ghosting may feel safe, but it leaves a trail of confusion and emotional debris behind. And one day, you might look back and regret all the love you pushed away because you were afraid of what it might cost you. Healing is possible for both sides, for the one who loves deeply and gets ghosted, and for the one who ghosts because they don't know how to stay. But healing only begins with truth. And the truth is, dismissive avoidants ghost not because they don't feel, but because they feel more than they know how to handle. The connection was real. The fear was too. And in that collision, silence became their shield. But for those willing to grow, there's another way. A way of staying. A way of choosing presence over protection. It's not easy, but it's the only path where love can stop being something we run from and start being something we rise into. If this video spoke to something you've experienced or something you're still healing from, know this. You're not alone, and you're not broken. Whether you're someone who's been ghosted or someone who ghosts because it feels safer than staying, awareness is the first step toward real change. If you found value here, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dives into attachment, healing, and emotional clarity. In a world that runs from connection, let's be the ones who choose to understand it. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your truth, and never settle for love that's afraid to stay.